Welcome to a fascinating exploration of the kingdom of the world's most dangerous insects and plants. On this journey, we will delve into the amazing world of tiny but powerful creatures that can wreak havoc on human life. Number 1. The Rosario P. Abris precatorius is a very toxic plant. The grains, which look like round red seeds with a black spot on the bottom, contain a protein called abrin. This toxin stops protein synthesis in the human cell, and when this happens, the cell dies. Remember what the Rosario P looks like so that if you ever come across it, you won't confuse it with a normal berry. Chewing the seeds releases the poison, causing poisoning. And the worst thing is that there is no antidote for it. This plant is native to Africa, Asia, Australia, and the Pacific. In the United States, it is classified as an invasive plant. Despite the dangers, some people use the plants to make necklaces, jewelry, and bracelets. Children's toys are also supposed to be made from this plant. Number 2. The cat caterpillar is a long-haired butterfly that reminds you of a Persian cat and is not our friendly Pokemon. This insect is among one of the most poisonous insects in the world. You can find them mainly in Mexico and the eastern U.S. It's actually the larvae that make this insect so dangerous, so it's best not to touch them. They have brush-shaped hairs that are accompanied by an orange stripe on their back. However, this is hidden in a secret weapon, poisonous thorns. If they make contact with your skin, you will experience indescribable pain. This is because the venom of this caterpillar spreads throughout the body. If you have been stung, it is recommended to immediately clean the wound and first remove any hairs that are stuck in the skin. Number 3. This is the chamomile tree, Hippomane manzanella, which appears evergreen with green leaves and small apple-shaped fruits. The tree may not look dangerous, but it has been nicknamed the tree of death. In some places where the tree grows, locals have had to put up warning signs telling people not to eat the fruit, but even touching or being near the tree can be dangerous. This is because each part of the tree contains a milky white juice that is highly toxic. Even if touched lightly, it may cause skin burns. And if it gets in your eyes, it can leave you temporarily blind. According to legends, the indigenous people used this juice to wet their arrows, and it is believed that the great explorer Juan Ponce de Leon also died because of it in 1521. Number 4. Wasps can be found almost all over the world. They are very useful, since they eat flies and also mosquitoes. You've probably seen them flying in your garden or on your balcony, but did you know that there are more than 75,000 different species? One of them is the yellow jacket, which can be found mainly in North America. Unlike wasps that usually leave you alone, this site is notorious for its aggressiveness. If someone accidentally gets too close to one of those underground nests, their alarm signal will summon hundreds of stinging wasps to attack. Unlike bees, these yellow insects do not lose their sting, so they won't just sting you once, but will attack and sting you repeatedly, purely out of aggression. In some cases, their bite can even be fatal. Number 5. Another plant that doesn't seem dangerous at all is white plover, trematol. The white cherimoya has small, delicate white flowers that sit close to the ground. Sometimes when grass is scarce, grazing animals decide to feed on these plants. However, this plant contains a type of alcohol called trematol that is very toxic to animals, especially horses. For example, muscle tremors can be observed in cows that receive this poisoning. But it is not only dangerous for animals, but also for humans. In the 19th century, when Europeans settled in the American Midwest, they were not accustomed to this plant and allowed their cows to graze on it. Their animals became sick and their milk was contaminated. Many of the settlers who drank the milk later developed milk fever, with symptoms such as weakness, vomiting, and constipation. According to some reports, about 1,000 settlers died from it. Number 6. I can already see you thinking, how can beetles be dangerous in the world? It is said that there are more than 350,000 different species of beetles, so it is only natural that there are dangerous species among them. Some of them can actually bite you. Let's start with the Titan beetle, one of the largest insects in the world, measuring almost 17 centimeters in length. They live mainly in rainforests, and their lower jaws are powerful enough to break pencils in half and also pierce human flesh. Another species is Hercules beetles, which belong to a group called rhinoceros beetles. Males could grow up to 19 centimeters. They are also quite muscular and are capable of carrying up to 50 times their body mass. Compared to an adult male, this would mean he could lift up to 68,000 kilograms. But the most dangerous species of beetle is probably the blister beetle. If you come into contact with this beetle, you can get irritation and blisters that can be very painful. Number 7. You've probably heard of Nepenthes, the Venus flytrap, a plant that loves to eat flies and other insects. But there is a similar carnivorous plant that is much larger. This is the Nepenthes plant. There are about 140 species of this plant found in Madagascar, Southeast Asia, and Australia. But the most notable of all, which is also the largest carnivorous plant, is Nepenthes attenboroughi. Currently, it is in danger of extinction. This plant was discovered in 2007 by a group of scientists on the island of Palawan, in the Philippines. The plant was then named after famous British biologist David Attenborough to commemorate his conservation efforts in the Philippines during his 80th birthday. This plant was large enough to trap rodents and other small animals, so it is best not to let your pets get close to this plant. Number 8. At first glance, the brown recluse spider can often be confused with the average brown spider. But you can tell them apart by their eyes. In fact, they have mysterious rows of 6 eyes instead of 8, like most spiders. But these spiders are among the most dangerous spiders in the world because they are incredibly poisonous. After being bitten, you may have dark blisters and sores that can last for weeks in the same place. Your skin may also show extreme reactions, including rotting tissue. Fortunately, these spiders are only found in the southern and central U.S. Additionally, they like dark, hidden places, such as rocks or under leaves. However, they are also sometimes found in homes and even on people's shoes. Number 9. The oleander plant is hard to miss. It is a shrub with deep pink flowers, but there are also yellow or white ones. That's why it's a popular addition to gardens, but it also urges gardeners to be very careful and put it where pets and children can't reach it. Oleander is extremely poisonous, from the leaves and flowers to the stem and roots. It contains 2 powerful cardiac glycosides, oleandrin and narin, which increase the force of cardiac contractions. This causes cardiac arrhythmias and serious problems in the nervous and digestive systems. The plant also emits a sticky latex that can seriously irritate the skin and eyes. Despite this, the oleander is the official flower of the city of Hiroshima, Japan, because it was the first plant to bloom in the country after the atomic bomb that destroyed the city in 1945. Number 10. Unlike the average bee, these wasps have a sting that is tailored to do maximum damage. Bald-headed hornets can sting you repeatedly, so it is best to stay away from these insects. Any predator or intruder sees it as a threat. Let's remember that you are dealing with an insect that likes to chew on bees instead of avoiding them. The bites of these insects have a poison that can last 24 hours and is extremely painful. In other cases, people had severe allergic reactions and therefore also had to be taken to the hospital immediately. Number 11. At first glance, The gimpy plant has a funny sounding name, but it is actually one of the most dangerous plants in the world, as proven by the countless stories that have been written about it. The gimpy is a thorny tree that belongs to the nettle family and is common in many parts of Australia. It is considered one of the most poisonous and painful plants in the world. When you touch the plant, small needles can get stuck in it that you can't easily remove either. Plus, it also hurts a lot. There are old stories that say that horses that were stung ended up going so crazy that they jumped off cliffs to escape their pain. Number 12. These blood-sucking insects, called kissing bugs, are primarily found in Central and South America, certain areas of the US, and also in Mexico. If you encounter one, you will quickly discover that they do not kiss their victims, but rather bite you in a Dracula-like manner. They prefer to do this when you are sleeping. Like mosquitoes, these creepy crawlers need blood to survive. They have no problem extracting it from any part of the body. But you might be wondering why they are called kissing bugs. This is because they get their name from where they like to bite you, which is around the mouth and eyes. They can bite up to 15 times, and this bite is not only painful, but can also transmit diseases such as Chagas disease. The symptoms of this disease are severe fever, vomiting, anemia, and swelling. In the early stages, this disease can still be treated, but after a few months, it can no longer be treated. In South America, this disease has become a big problem and has caused an unfortunate fate for many people. Number 13. African hydnora is very popular because it looks like the piranha plants in the Super Mario game, but apparently they also exist in real life. What we see here is actually the hydnora flower. It does not have leaves, but to survive it feeds on other plants. Hydnora is a nasty parasite that uses its roots to steal nutrients from nearby plants. Not only that, but it has a very pungent smell. Some insects, such as the skin beetle, are attracted by its unpleasant odor, and the plant takes the opportunity to pollinate itself, trapping them with its jaws until they are completely covered in its pollen before releasing them. However, this parasitic plant is quite rare, but its smell will make no one want to get completely close to it. Number 14. The brown-tailed moth is a moth with small poisonous hairs. Fortunately, there are only a few places in the world where this insect is found. This invasive species was accidentally introduced from Europe in 1897 and is now found in the US in coastal Massachusetts and Maine. Invasive species really means that the insect has become very overcrowded and is causing damage to its new environment. The butterfly itself would not be too dangerous, but you have to be especially careful when they are still a larva. This is because the larvae are covered in poisonous hairs that can cause dermatitis in sensitive individuals. Dermatitis causes a serious rash, so try to avoid contact with this dangerous insect at all times. Number 15. Water hemlock is considered the most poisonous plant in the world. Even a small amount of the toxic substance called cyclotoxin can be a poison to animals and humans. Cyclotoxin is an unsaturated alcohol that violently affects the central nervous system. An animal that receives it in its body can die in 15 minutes. However, the poison from the roots is more dangerous. Who would have thought that a plant with tiny flowers just 4 millimeters wide could be so dangerous? The plant has 4 different species that are highly toxic, and all of them contain different types of poison. Ingesting this plant can also quickly lead to the end of its life, so it is best to stay away from it when you encounter this plant. Number 16. The giant beta tree is one of the largest insects that has ever lived on Earth. They are native to New Zealand. Not only are they one of the largest insects in the world, but they are also considered the heaviest insects in the world. A giant beta tree can weigh about 70 grams. Although they don't have a sting, they can give you a vicious bite. Its name comes from the Maori people who first lived in New Zealand and means goodbye to ugly things, so you are dealing with a very old insect. Giant beta tree fossils date back to the Triassic period more than 190 million years ago. This means that these insects are older than some dinosaurs. Another strange fact about them is that they have ears on their knees, probably due to a mistake by Mother Nature. Number 17. This is white doll's eye, a different plant that is also very poisonous and dangerous to humans. The plant has round white berries with black dots on the end, like a doll's eye. Scientists have not yet determined exactly what poison it contains, but they assume it could be an essential substance or a toxic chemical called a glycoside. Toxicity is said to be highest in the roots and berries. If you eat it, you may suffer stomach cramps, vomiting, diarrhea, and even your circulatory system may fail because of it. Contact with the plant can also cause skin blisters. Despite the dangers, the doll's eye can be used for medical purposes. In fact, a small amount of tea can be prepared from the roots to relieve pain during childbirth. It is also useful for headaches, colds, and coughs. Number 18. Botflies, also known as hornet flies, are no bigger than your palm, but they are very scary. The botfly is a type of parasitic fly, meaning they need a host, and yes, they can include humans. They literally cannot complete their life cycle unless they transition to a larval stage on a suitable host. The way they obtain a host is by laying their eggs on a blood-eating insect, such as a mosquito. When this mosquito bites someone, the eggs are transmitted, and the host's body heat fuels the eggs to hatch. This hornet can grow from 12 to 19 millimeters, and the scariest thing about them is that they can even live under your skin. In most cases, the host will survive, but there is a risk of the skin becoming infected, and this infection can be fatal. However, if you want to remove this parasite, you will need a pair of pliers. Number 19. Castor bean is native to East Africa and can also be found in tropical areas. It contains one of the most powerful natural toxins ever discovered, called ricin. Ricin is an extremely potent cytotoxin that attacks the intestines and red blood cells. This venom is said to be 12 times stronger than rattlesnake venom. A single milligram of ricin is enough to kill an adult human, so you should never eat several of these seeds because they can be deadly. It is useful for you to know this now, since in some countries this plant can be found in parks as decoration or near train tracks.